Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas McKnight. I'm from the Henderson Group, and I am the Sales and Technical Services Manager. And no, I don't get paid by the letter, because if I did, it's a wonderful title. I'm going to take you through today. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the clicker. Dave, rescue me, there's no clicker. Right, no problem. I was tested the first hurdle. Would I cave under the pressure? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of my presentation this afternoon. Just before that there, I'm going to give you a bit of background on where I'm coming from. As much as I only look 25, I've actually been in the retail systems provision for 30 years. Yes, honestly, 30 years. Look how well I look. I started off with Anchor Data Systems and then eventually transferred across 14 years ago into the Henderson Group. The Henderson Group is the Spar wholesaler in Northern Ireland and has their own retailing division. And this is what we're going to discuss this afternoon. It's the implementation of a solution within our retailing division that we have developed in partnership with Box Technologies. So if I start off with a company overview, how we're tracking sales and our cash flow, then what is the temptation to commit fraud and steal? You'll notice that I use the word steal. I don't use the nice delicate word of we're discussing theft and we're discussing loss and shrinkage. If you're engaged in your business, when someone takes something that doesn't belong to them, it becomes a personal issue. They're stealing from me because this company pays for my mortgage and I have a vested interest in ensuring that we control any loss. So how we do that is basically through fraud protection and prevention, and what technology solutions that we've implemented, and then where we're going to go in the future and how we're going to take this forward and prevent that from happening. So to start off with is our company overview. And the company is 100 years old, and we started as a wholesaler. We started as a dairy wholesaler as a family-owned business. And to this day, we are still a family-owned business. And on a daily basis, the chairman of our group still has his finger on the pulse of everything that happens in the Henderson Group. So we have 30 years as a retailer. We bought a number of business 30 years ago, and we've grown that business basically through osmosis. It's been a gentle process, and we now own directly 79 retail outlets that include forecourts. Forecourts bring additional challenges into the business that convenience retailing doesn't necessarily have. Our convenience retailing is Spar. We are Spar in Northern Ireland as a wholesaler, and the core of our retail outlets are Spar. We have a number of smaller other groups, but we are primarily convenience retailing and larger formats under Spar. The larger formats are European-based style Eurospar. The Eurospars themselves range from 5,000 square foot up to 8,000 square foot. We have actually secured a business this week which takes us into the 10,000 square foot. It's still treated as a family business, folks. Even though we're growing and we're getting bigger and we're servicing 420 outlets, every day the family's involved in the control of this business and their heart lies in the success of the business. So what have we done? How have we controlled the cash flow in our business? And how have we tried to implement solutions with regard to fraud prevention and ultimately detection? So in the past, mechanical cash registers and paper journals, and that takes me right back to my days when I started in the workshop for electromechanical cash registers. Back in the good old days, and I'm sure there's quite a lot of you here that have never even dealt with a paper roll these days for a journal. But whenever you had an error in a store and you got a paper journal given to you and someone said, that machine's not counting properly, and the flag went up straight away. Oh, right, the machine's not counting properly. Very rarely a machine didn't count properly. What you actually had was some form of discrepancy. Either it was through shrinkage or error. And you sat with your paper journal roll and a calculator, and you tallied up the paper journal roll to track down where the discrepancy had come from. Today, we have embedded EPOS solutions with electronic journals. Electronic journals bring to us lots and lots of information. It's wonderful to see all the data there, but how do we make use of it? And how do we implement the controls that are back on top of those solutions? So why did we go to EPOS solutions? Why were mechanical cash registers not sufficient for the business? What did we need to do? And why did we need to implement the controls that we've now implemented today by embedding solutions? Our colleagues in the Centre for Retail Research kindly provide these figures on their website. This is why a lot of the companies are here today. These are the figures that we need to deal with. Customer theft. I don't like theft, it's too nice. 2,146 million. Employee theft, 1,765. Folks, how we're all still in business with those sort of figures is amazing. When you look at the cost of implementing solutions to control that loss at being over 1 billion. Now that's great if you're a vendor, because it's a marketplace for you to sell solutions into. But ultimately, as retailers, and our core business is selling products and making margin and profit, that's an awful lot of expenditure on solutions to control that. So that's the core reason behind the implementation of solutions, to cut down on the opportunities for theft and fraud. Temptation to commit fraud and steal. There's an awful temptation when you're standing in a shop and you're dealing with cash every day, and you see all of that going into a cash drawer, and you're in circumstances where sometimes the purchase of the next pair of shoes for the family, or actually buying the groceries this week, is a bit tighter than it has been. That temptation can overwhelm an honest person. So to protect honest people, we have to have systems in place to keep them on the straight and narrow. But we also have the habitual offender. The habitual offender can be a member of staff and can also be our own customers. We recently opened a brand new store. Lovely site, beautiful forecourt, and nice staff employed, standing there on their first day with their new uniforms on. And the first task that one of the new employees carried out was to walk to a PayPoint machine, put in a £20 phone top-up, and key it into her own phone. First day, first shift. Now, you'd be glad to hear that she didn't see out the shift, never mind the day. So that task, that thing that she did, was obviously learned somewhere else. This was part of her routine. Wherever she had previously been employed, this was her routine. I have a mobile phone, and I can go to PayPoint, and I can top up my phone. And that's one of the areas that we have worked on. How do we balance the transactions from third parties to our own EPOS solutions? And that's why we moved towards embedding solutions. Ultimately, whether it was an honest person who gets caught up in the fact that there's a lot of cash in front of them, or whether it's a habitual offender, the consequence to us is basically it's a loss to the business. And that's what we have to work on minimizing, the loss to the business. So how did we do that? Well, we started right back in fraud prevention and detection. In 1980, our company started implementing CCTV. And the aim of that there was literally to record the perpetrator in the act. So what you then had was hours of CCTV footage. Great. You thought you had a problem. You've recorded the CCTV footage for a week. Now you've got to pay someone to sit down and watch all of that CCTV footage for a week. That's what was in the marketplace. That's what was available to you. And that helped control to a certain extent, because as we fitted overt systems and cameras were put in strategic places, we have always put them overtly, by the way. We don't do covert in our stores unless we are particularly interested in something that we can't get on a daily basis. But when we put our systems in, we bring all our staff in, we show them where the cameras are, we show them the coverage that we have, we show them the integrated solutions, and we try to educate them to the fact that we don't want them to be tempted, and that by watching them, we're protecting them by taking out the circumstances that would give them the opportunity to do that. But watching old CCTV footage on tapes isn't something that was cost effective. You can't do it. And the other problem with that is all of your actions are retrospective, because you're looking back on things that have happened previously. Technology has moved on. We moved on from video recorders to digital video recorders. We moved into putting text overlay onto videotapes and digital recorders. And the text overlay being stored in the digital recorders brought on board databases within DVRs that we could start to do data mining with, which allowed us to start auditing the procedures quicker, helped us to improve on our processes of detection. EPOS integration is where we headed towards. And with regards to EPOS integration, what we wanted to do was find a partner that would help us embed the transactions from the CCTV into the retail software. So we were developing a new EPOS solution for our marketplace at the time. And we found a partner through Box Technologies that we could talk to. One of the biggest issues we had, that whenever we tried to speak to a vendor, and as soon as you mention the word SPAR, you can literally see the lights come on behind their eyes. They have visions of selling hundreds of thousands of units out into the SPAR estate. Folks, as much as we're a group of 79 stores, every other retailer that we try to service is an independent business, and we have to find cost-effective solutions for them. So finding partners that were willing to investigate what was possible, rather than coming to you with this great big strategic plan that would have a 7-digit figure attached to it, was a key for us. And that's what we found in Box Technologies. So now with the DVRs, we have all of these lovely data mining tools, and then we move forward into embedding them into the retail EPOS software. Embedding is the only way forward for us. Other people may have views on this, but we have embedded the CCTV. We have embedded the text overlay. We have embedded enhanced browsers for the CCTV within the back office software. And we have other features that we're going to do that with. So, text overlay. That is now available in the DVRs and can be searched in DVRs. Enhanced browsers come with the DVRs that we have purchased through Box, and through the cooperation of the software developers that are developing the DVRs, that has brought to us feeds and hooks from software that we could make use of, that we could then get enhanced functionality out of. With the enhancements of the DVRs, we have real-time viewing of transactions. That allows us to then, if we believe we've identified an issue, to be monitoring remotely what's going on in the shop. So that gives us an opportunity to be sitting away from the site and detecting some sort of fraud or shrinkage there and then. And it gives us a more efficient way of actually dealing with auditing of the data. At this point, I'm going to show you a video, and I'm going to have to wave to Dave a couple of times to pause where I want to show you some items. Okay. We can play there, Dave, and then we can just pause there for a second. And I'm going to, where's my pen? This is our electronic journal. We developed a new electronic journal within our software, and the idea being is that we have an auditing team that we believe is second to none. And it's my role to create procedures for them that help them detect any issues or monitor the stores in an efficient manner, because they keep our loss down. And it's up to me to provide tools for them. So each one of these can be dragged into this toolbar to sort all of the transactions. So if we want to see voids, refunds, transactions by any sort of detail, we can drag them up and it quickly sorts them all. With our filters over here, traditionally our business was orientated around week numbers and all sorts of strange things. And we took it back to the basics of everybody uses a calendar. Can we stick with the simple things in life? I want to look at a specific date. I want to look at a range of dates. Business and MIS reports can do week numbers and do all of that there. But from the normal perspective of people coming in and going to deal with things, they look at dates and times. So what we've got is date and time frames. We can go down to till numbers for the EPOS terminals. We can go down to values. You know, we're right down to all the values. We can go down to the product EANs. We can go to departments, subgroup, sub-departments. All of those options are built in. It seems so basic. Well, why wouldn't you have that? You know, why wouldn't you have these data mining tools that people can make use of? But it's only when you sit down with the auditors and actually say to them, tell me what you need. Don't go to the IT people and say, design me a solution. Actually go to the folks at the coalface and say, tell me how I can help you cut down on the fraud and loss within our business. And this, from the input that they needed, was how they searched for items. Dave, can we just play on for a little bit here? Okay, so it pulls in all of our transactions. And then what we've done is we're going to scroll down. We're looking for a specific transaction, which is a £30 diesel transaction, because this is from a forecourt. It will get there eventually. There we go. If we could pause just for a second. So we've highlighted the transaction. The transaction's showing you the products across here. So now you've got all of the traditional product information, all of the transactional information that you would normally have. And this is the funky bit. This is the bit that we really strive to find a partner to help us create. Over here we have a little set of binoculars, and it says view. Dave, if you can play now. And what it does, if you can pause again, you'll see this box has come up here, and it's now asking you, do you want to see the footage from the following date and time? We have embedded in, with the cooperation of the software guys within Box, the ability to select any transaction, allocate 4 cameras to a particular POS unit. So you've got your normal camera over and above your EPOS terminal. You can have an overview camera. You can have a wide-angle camera. And in this particular transaction, if we can play now, Dave, we also have a camera for the forecourt where the fuel was drawn from the vehicle. So now what you've got is an overview with your till scan activity. You have an overview of the general checkout area. And again, the customer service actually happening. So we can see immediately a link through from that transaction through to the CCTV recording. You still have all of your functionality built into your digital recorders. You can still go and search the recorders and archive footage out as required by law whenever you want to go for a prosecution. But what this has brought to us is speed of analysis. And whenever we do have an issue, we can quickly go to the back office computer, search for the transaction that we have a query on, look at the footage from those 4 cameras. If that's not enough for us, then we can refer back to the DVR and view all of the cameras of the site and play all of the footage through. Folks, I don't know about you, but my auditors love this. So they do. That they can walk into a store and quickly identify areas within the store that they have a query on to see where that particular refund has come from or why that particular void was done. When we were developing this new product, we weren't releasing refunds. And for some reason, we just thought, well, you know, we can let refunds run when we were doing a pilot. The amount of refunds that's done in convenience stores is amazing. I wasn't aware of this until we were working on this product. Until we done that, I would have said to you, well, sure, if you get the odd refund once a day. People buy stuff and decide to bring it back for no explicable reason. I bought this yesterday. I just don't want it anymore. And that needs to be tracked. because that can be a way of sweethearting. Let someone buy something that's on promotion and then tell them to hold off for a few days and bring it back whenever the promotion's over, and all of a sudden that item now goes through at the full refunded rate. One of the ways that we implemented to prevent that from happening, Dave, that could just move back to the slide again, please. One of the ways that we try to prevent that from happening is that we now track everything by the transaction barcode on receipts, and that tries to stop sweethearting from occurring there. So embedded browsers, in my opinion, is the only way forward. Our next step with the embedding of the browsers is full-time synchronization with cameras and things, cameras and equipment that's out and around the premises and on the forecourts. For instance, linking into the petrol forecourt controllers and getting a software hook from the nozzle as it's lifted to say that I wish to dispense some fuel, so that one of those cameras that you pick up in that grid of 4 will allow you to actually see the dispensing of the fuel rather than having to look back to see that the fuel has been dispensed. So that's an enhancement that we're looking forward to. Another enhancement that we have done to our system is we have built in the PayPoint PPOS solution. I don't know how many of you are aware of the PPOS solution, but it's the fully integrated utility payments and phone top-ups. We have embedded that into our EPOS solution. And the reason that we've gone through the trouble of doing this with PayPoint is to diminish the number of third-party terminals where transactions are done where the cashier turns their back to your customer and does something at a strange little terminal, and then you're relying on them coming back and keying through a button the fact that they've just done a £200 utility payment on a little yellow terminal. The customer hands them a wad of notes, and actually 150 of them goes in the cash drawer, and the other 50 get set to the side to slide into their pocket at some time down the line. So we have done that there. We really see that we have to embed all of these things, and that's why the enhancements of the CCTV and the synchronization with transactions and third-party equipment is critical to our plan in the future. That brings me to the end of my little spiel to tell you where we have come from and the things that we have implemented. I am open to questions, so if anyone has a question, now's the time.